Okay, welcome everybody to round 13 of Season 4. Tonight we are racing at China for what is potentially your championship deciding race. This is of course the Shanghai International Circuit. It's a 5.5 kilometer long track. It's one of the trickiest corner combinations in F1. There are some very tight corners in this track. We'll see if it catches any of the drivers out. Let's see who is going to be the one on pole position today. Unfortunately, no pre-race interviews beforehand, but we will ride on board with a few people and see who will take that pole position. I do believe the first car that's going to be crossing the line will be Saskia Moll in the AlphaTauri, starting on those soft compound tyres for her first flying lap. So here we go then, first flying lap of the qualifying session so far. Let's see how she can do. This corner is very easy to get caught out. It tightens part way through the corner. She seems to handle that very well so far. Fairly nice line through this first section of the course so far. A couple of yellow flags being shown already. It looks like one of the Aston Martin drivers is having a bit of difficulty. She had fastest second sector there for just a short period as it's been taken by somebody else. Potentially the Alpine of Ricky Racer just behind. Coming into the hairpin now. Just missing that apex just a little bit. Nice exit as we come to the final corner. Nicely through there. Doesn't quite bring it out as wide as possible. Across the line, your first lap is a 1:35.4. Let's see what the Alpine of Ricky Racer can do as he comes across the line. It'll be a 1:33.92 for him. As Sam Drives goes fastest with a 1:33.7 on those medium compound tyres. Also setting lap times, Ellis Unku, the second Alfa Romeo driver, setting a 1:34.1. Your provisional pole sitter at the moment is Matteo 50, formerly F1 Gramer. Back after a 3-race ban. He says he's feeling confident for today, so we'll see what he can do. He is currently sitting on provisional pole, but can he keep a hold of that? POR Ben going very wide there on the exit, but he sets a 1:31.9. Very quick lap from the Alfa Romeo driver indeed. Of course, POR Ben is still mathematically in contention for the championship. But more than likely it will go to either LS Apex or Sam Drives, who are P1 and P2 respectively in the Drivers' Championship so far. Speaking of LS Apex, he is currently sitting in P4 with a 1:33.8. He's having some oversteer issues there. Just can't quite get the car planted. Of course, LS Apex not on his usual setup. He is away from home currently. He's operating on out of a hotel room on effectively 5G, so not a very stable connection, but he's going to try his best. have a look at some of the laps people are setting. P1, of course, still POR Ben. Matteo 50 in second place with a 132.7, not too far behind. FV Pixels is third with a 132.8. Weepier Bag, the first of the Red Bull cars, in P4 with a 132.9. Jim Bobster, the first Ferrari and the quickest car on the medium compound tyres so far with a 133.3. Sam Drives, your second place driver currently in the standings, also on those medium compound tyres with a 133.7, putting him in P6 as it stands. Your championship leader, LS Apex, currently in the pits getting a tyre change and some more fuel added to that car. He is in P7 with a 133.8. If we look at Riki Racer, 133.9 for the Alpine, puts him in P8 overall. P9 for the second Alfa Romeo of LS Unku with a 134.1. Finally, the last person to set a lap so far, Saskia Moll in the AlphaTauri with a 135.2. There is a McLaren now leaving the pits as well. It will be Sojin Impulse, who is currently, I believe, P4 in the Drivers' Championship. The McLaren driver not having the best race last time out at Brazil, having some unfortunate issues with the connectivity of his wheel, getting quite a bit of input lag, which is very unfortunate for him, but he will be hoping to come back stronger. He's done quite a bit of practice, but that is not what you want to see! That is not what you want to see from the McLaren driver. On his outlap, he is into the wall. The commentator's curse appearing to strike again before he's even set his first flying lap. That is unfortunate for the McLaren driver. That's not what he wants at the start of this qualifying session. Now Bly Yapper goes into P2 on his first flying lap, a 132.5 for the AlphaTauri. Very nice lap indeed, puts him just 0.2 clear of Matteo in P3. Let's ride on board with your championship leader, LS Apex, as he goes for his first flying lap on the soft compound tyres. A very nice line so far through this first section of the track. Let's see what he can do for the rest. Currently down at P8 with a 133.8. We'll be hoping to improve, and that is a very nice sector indeed. Up 3.5 tenths on his personal best in the first sector alone. This lap is really starting to come together for LS Apex. Let's see what he can do with the rest of it. Unfortunately, the commentator's curse does appear to strike again. LS Apex had a very good start to that lap, but unfortunately suffers a little bit of a spin there in the second sector. Let's have a look at how the second McLaren F1 SV5 is getting on. His first flying lap out so far. Soft compound tyres for him, as with everybody else at the moment. Let's see what he can do. There is a yellow flag caused by LS Apex in the Aston Martin. He's off in the grass there. Looking to just keep out of the way of the people that are setting laps. Clips that inside apex nicely, runs it out nice and wide, using all of the track that he can. Through the final corner he comes. And that is a very nice first lap for him indeed. A brilliant lap for the McLaren driver that puts him in P2, a 1:32.35. That is a very nice first lap to stick on the board. That puts him in P2 overall currently. Just under 2/10 clear of Bly Yapper that is now demoted to P3. Let's have a look at what Sam Drives can do. If the timing screen is correct there, he's down 0.5 of a second on his PB so far. Nicely through that first section of the track. We have a new provisional pole sitter, however, Jim Bobster in the Ferrari with a 1:31.6. Over 0.3 of a second, 3.5 of a second quicker than POR Ben in the Alfa Romeo. Still 5.5 minutes of this qualifying session to go. Will he keep provisional pole, or will it go to one of the other very fast drivers that we have out on circuit at the moment? Sam Drives does appear to be on a very good lap so far. Hopefully the commentator's curse doesn't strike for a third time and he can actually complete this lap. He's up almost a full second now according to the timing screen. Through the first two sectors he is 8.5 quicker than his PB. And it looks like he's going to get a tow down the straight from his teammate. The Williams pairing employing some very nice team tactics there. Try and guarantee pole for Sam Drives. Nice apex on the inside. Runs it out nice and wide using all of the track limits. Through the final corner he goes. And across the line, it will put him into P3. That will be a 1:32.1 for Sam Drives in the Williams. A very nice lap indeed. Let's have a look as we come into the hairpin now for Sojin Impulse. He will unfortunately abandon that lap and come into the pits. Let's have a look at the Red Bull of Harrison M. What can he do? Currently down in P8, just ahead of his teammate Weepier Bag in P9. Harrison on a 1:32.6 so far on those soft compound tyres. A little bit of a lock-up there coming into that corner. That shouldn't lose him too much time. Nice wide exit out of that corner. He's up almost a 10th so far in his time. Just runs it onto the grass a little bit there. That's going to lose him some time there. Running it just a little bit too wide coming out of that corner. Trying to carry just a bit too much speed. Into the hairpin now. What is he going to be able to do? Clips the apex nicely on the inside. Runs it out nice and wide as well. As we come up to the final corner, nice wide entry. He will come into the pits and abandon that lap, however. Only 2 minutes of this qualifying session remain, and the only driver to not set a lap time so far is Sojin Impulse down in P14, the second of the McLaren drivers. There's a bit of an issue there with LS Apex. having to move out of the way there of both the McLaren and his teammate FV Pixels. We've seen at a couple of races recently that the Aston Martin team have employed some tactics to give the championship leader just a little bit more straight line speed down the main straight. Is Pixels going to give Apex a tow this round? Or will it be every man for himself as we head into the closing stages of this championship fight? Here we go then, we're right on board with Sojin Impulse now for his first flying lap. Nice line through the first section so far, clipping that apex on the inside. Nice exit out of that complex. Let's see what he can do now. He just needs to get a lap time on the board. Of course, with his competitive nature, he'll want to finish as high up the order as he possibly can, but a lap is better than no lap. He seems to be going very nicely through this section of the track so far. As he comes out of Sector 2, it'll be a 52 flat for his Sector 2 time. Into the third sector now with the long right-hander onto the main straight. Nice exit. And our host appears to have crashed. As we start our formation lap now. You can see the qualifying results here. It'll be LS Apex on pole, as we said. Jim Bobster in second, POR Ben in P3. Sam Drives P2 in the championship, currently lining up in fourth place. His teammate Matteo P5 just behind him. The McLaren pairing F1 SV5 and Sojin Impulse P6 and P7. FV Pixels, the second Aston Martin, down in P8. Ricky Racer P9 for the Alpine. Bly Yapper, the first of the AlphaTauri cars, P10. Weepier Bag, P11 for the Red Bull, P12 for his teammate Harrison M. P13 is LS Unku, P14 the second AlphaTauri of Saskia Moll. I think we are going to have quite some race on our hands today. Of course, as we've already said, if LS Apex is to outscore Sam Drives by 1 point, he will win the championship here today. And lining up on pole position with his closest rival starting P4, I think he's got quite a good chance. Apex, of course, not running on the strongest of Wi-Fi connections today, but it seems to have held strong just long enough for him to get that pole position in. So we'll see what the race brings. As we come round the final few corners now, we'll line back up on the grid, ready to start round 13, which is the Chinese Grand Prix for this week, as one of the McLarens there is having connection issues just before the race start. Not ideal for him. There we go, all the cars lined up on the grid now as the lights start to come on. Five lights. And it's lights out and away we go for the start of the Chinese Grand Prix. What can LS Apex do at the start? Not the best start from him so far. He's being overtaken by Jim Bobster into the first corner. Looking down the inside as well will be Sam Drives in the Williams. LS Apex now moves back up into first position, getting back past the Ferrari of Jim Bobster at the start. Sam Drives, great start from him, up into P3 now. FV Pixels, not a great start from him, down all the way into P14 now. It looks like he's had a collision with the AlphaTauri of Saskia Moll. That's an Alfa Romeo, that's POR Ben, one of your championship contenders. Something has happened there to POR Ben. He's in the wall. He's still in this race, but he will almost certainly have damage from that. Lap 1 causing absolute chaos here so far. Good start for the McLaren pairing now into P4 and P5. P4 and P6 now. You can see just at the bottom of the screen there we've got our predicted pit stop strategies. Fastest lap will of course go to LS Apex with a 1:37.9. Everybody so far starting on those hard compound tyres apart from LS Unku and Weepier Bag. Everyone else is on those soft compound tyres. One of the McLarens they're getting very slidey. That's F1 SV5 coming out of that corner. He's having a bit of a fight there with the Red Bull of Harrison M, who's just gone off the track to overtake him by the looks of things. F1 SV5 will not give up. Can see wheel bashing now between these two, F1 SV5 and Harrison M in the Red Bull going at it. Harrison pushed wide while the AlphaTauri of Bly Yappa allows F1 SV5 to get past and stay past. The championship leader starting to pull away now just a little bit. We'll check back on him later. We've got a very close fight here indeed. Riki Racer versus Weepier Bag. Riki Racer is down the inside. Into the hairpin, he will stay ahead of Weepier Bag now. Fastest lap changes hands. It will be Jim Bobster in the Ferrari with a 1:36.06. Race control now on labels DRS. We are on lap 3 of 28 here today. This has been quite an interesting race start so far. F1 SV5 having more issues with that Red Bull. It looks like he's been spun round. Looks like he has been spun round by the battle, getting caught up in a scrap there with Harrison M, which is not what he would have wanted. Looks like Saskia Moll is also having issues. Your first pit stop, FV Pixels coming into the pits now from medium compound tyres. That will put him quite a way behind the rest of the grid. But we'll see what he can do. There's a bit of a fight forming here between the two Red Bull cars. Weepier Bag and Harrison M. Of course, Weepier on those hard compound tyres. Harrison just behind him on the soft compound tyres. He will have a better pace than his teammate. DRS opens for the both of them now. Harrison will look to the inside. With DRS assistance, he has passed. He's going to go for the move on Riki Racer as well. Riki not giving it up. Harrison absolutely shot down the inside of the Alpine, but the Alpine was not giving up at all. Riki Racer will now go into the pits, however. Let's have a look at this. Sam Drives, following Jim Bobster, following LS Apex, your championship leader. What is going to happen here? What kind of a battle are we going to get? Last week out of Brazil we saw some very close battles indeed. Fight for the win almost every lap. Lasted pretty much the entire race. course, LS Apex taking P2, POR Ben emerging victorious from that race. We'll see what's going to happen here today. Ben now dives into the pits as well for those medium compound tyres. Saskia Mol will be next into the pits. Two Red Bulls still very close together. Sojourn Impulse now in the McLaren, just tagging onto the back of this fight for the lead. He just needs to get a little bit closer if he wants DRS on the Williams of Sam drives. And I think he may just be close enough coming onto the main straight. He is within a second. Will he get DRS? Or was he just outside? It looks like he might have been just outside of the detection zone. If he does have DRS, he's not activating it. You can see here Sam drives just getting closer and closer to the back of Jim Bobster in the Ferrari. 3 more drivers are pitting. Matteo 50 in the Williams, Bla Yappa in the AlphaTauri and F1 SV5. All coming into the pits on lap 5. Medium compound tyres for all of them. There's a Red Bull round and into the wall. It's going to be Weepier Bag, the second of the 2 Red Bulls that's spun and almost hit the wall there. There's going to be a yellow flag in Sector 3, and unfortunately it will be for the McLaren of Sojourn Impulse. He is off the track with wing damage as well. He is now tumbling down the order. You saw he was comfortably sitting in P4, just tagging onto the back of the battle for the lead. Unfortunately, something's happened there, and he's spun off the track, hit the wall as well by the looks of things. Now he's down at P7. Not the race start he would have hoped for. Let's have a look back now. Sam drives still within a second of Jim Bobster in the Ferrari. He will have DRS now. But is he close enough to make a move? You can see the gap, just 0.7 of a second between these two. Your top 4, all on the soft compound tyres. All 5 laps old, of course. Same tyres they started on. Your top 6 drivers are the only ones yet to pit for this race. Your top 4 on the soft compound, P5 and P6. Unku and Weepier Bag, of course, on the hard compound tyres. Looking to go quite a bit further into this race. There is another yellow flag, and it will be Saskia Mol in the AlphaTauri, who by the looks of things is about to be lapped already, which is very unfortunate for her. Looks like the back markers there just costing a little bit of time there for Sam drives. He will now come into the pits, however, along with LS Apex. Along with Harrison M as well. Your leader, Jim Bobster in the Ferrari, he will stay out. Still on those soft compound tyres, he will stay out for now. But for how much longer? Your top 3 drivers, Jim Bobster in first, LS Unku in second, and Weepier Bag, of course, in P3. They are the only 3 drivers yet to pit this race. As the fastest lap will now go to F1 SV5. He had a little bit of a moment there with one of the Red Bulls, but it looks like he has found his form and he is starting to really settle into a rhythm now. I know from experience when the McLaren driver sets into that comfortable rhythm, he can be extremely fast. Could be a threat to the higher up positions. He could even potentially challenge for a podium here today, but we'll see how the rest of the race goes for him. Here we go, LS Onku versus Weepier-Bag. Weepier-Bag with DRS, he will go down the inside of LS Onku as your leader Jim Bobster will now come into the pits. Weepier-Bag comes out of the corner ahead of LS Onku, but they are side by side into the final corner. Weepier-Bag leaving Onku with nowhere to go at all. Onku in the Alfa Romeo now having DRS on Weepier, he is ahead. LS Onku trying frantically to get back past the Red Bull of Weepier-Bag, but unfortunately he can't seem to find a way past. Wherever he looks, Weepier-Bag is parking his car just to try and stop the Alfa Romeo driver from getting past him. Although it does look like the Alfa Romeo is getting a better drive out of this section of the track so far. A bit of snap oversteer there, however, for LS Onku. Just loses him a little bit of time. Gap still just under 0.6 of a second to Weepier-Bag in front. These two drivers, the only two not to pit this race. LS Apex back in third, Sam Drives P4, Jim Bobster now P5 after pitting from the lead. LS Apex has picked up a very nice gap to P4 and P5. Oversteer again for the Alfa Romeo driver. As we come onto the main straight, he will of course have DRS on the Red Bull. DRS opens. Is he close enough to make a move into the first corner? You see Weepier-Bag is out of ERS. He has nothing left. Onku just not close enough, however, to make a move on the Red Bull. He just needs to be that bit closer after the main straight. There's a bit of a fight going on here. Harrison M versus Ricky Racer in the Alpine. These two very close together now. Oversteer though for the Red Bull. That's going to force him almost into the grass. It's going to lose him a whole load of time to the Alpine in front of him. He will just about hang in the DRS range of Ricky Racer, but for how much longer can he keep it? We're seeing support from one of the fellow Lightspeed Esports drivers, LS Carbon, in the chat saying go Apex. Roles reversed now. It's Jim Bobster to chase down Sam Drives in the Williams. Of course, these two will be trying to chase down LS Onku, who has now been passed by your championship leader LS Apex, up into P2 now. A little bit of oversteer coming out of that corner as there is another yellow flag for Sojin Impulse again. Your fastest lap will go to Jim Bobster in the Ferrari with a 1:35.7. Of course, LS Apex now in net P1 as Weepier-Bag is yet to pit. LS Apex already done one pit stop, but can he carry those medium compound tyres to the end of this race? Of course, 18 more laps, that will mean 20 laps overall on those mediums. It is possible. Will we see him try and pull off a two-stop here? He certainly has the pace to do so, but is that the preferred strategy here today? We will find out. There's another yellow flag. It will be Sam Drives. Sam Drives with a half spin. He still has all of his front wing intact, however, so it looks like he did keep it out of the wall, which is what he wants. LS Apex now within the DRS of Weepier Bag. DRS open for the Aston Martin driver. You can see once again Weepier Bag out of ERS. LS Apex not going for a dive into the hairpin there. He knows how to play this safely. He wants this championship, but to do that he's got to survive. DRS again open for the Aston Martin driver. Is he going to make a move into turn 1? He is very close. Side by side now, goes round the outside, Weepier Bag. And he is past. LS Apex now up into the lead of this race. Harrison M and Riki Racer still scrapping away as they have been for the past couple of laps now. What can these two do? Riki just within the DRS now of Harrison M. Both of these cars on the medium compound tyres. Harrison's tyres are a lot fresher than that of Riki Racer. Will he have the pace advantage over Riki Racer? They seem fairly evenly matched so far as they've been scrapping away for a couple of laps now. We've seen on the timing screen it's just a constant leapfrog. One will overtake, and then the other car will overtake straight away again. Of course, the more these two fight, the more time they're going to lose to the pack in front of them. Harrison already about 5.5 seconds away from P5, which will be Sam Drives. Riki Racer going right off the track there. Trying to pull off a move on Harrison M. No way that move was going to work. It did sound like these two cars touched as well. Riki still with DRS. Sam Drives now past LS Unku. Those hard compound tyre runners seeming to be struggling just a little bit. As the first penalty of this GP will be awarded, and it will be to Saskia Mole, a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. The race really not going her way so far. She's already been lapped. She's about 1.5 minutes behind P13, which will be Sojin Impulse, and then a 3-second time penalty as well. Unfortunately, this race really does not seem to be going her way so far. There will be a 10-second time penalty for Saskia Mole for exceeding track limits. There is a yellow flag in Sector 2. She has gone right off the track. Jim Bobster now getting past Weepier Bag as well. These two still very close together. Jim Bobster just in front of Weepier Bag. Weepier will have DRS on the Ferrari, but is he close enough to make a move? He's sure going to look for one. Looks to the outside, can't get past, looks to the inside instead. Hugging that inside line, they make contact. Leaving each other just about enough room. Jim Bobster will stay ahead of Weepier Bag in the Red Bull for now. And there we are, our first safety car, lap 13 of 28. We will have our first safety car of the Grand Prix. Looks as if though that may have been caused by, yeah, unfortunately that will have been caused by the AlphaTauri of Saskia Moll. No front wing on that car. She is really struggling so far this race. While we're under the safety car, let's have a look at our position changes. So of course, LS Apex in the lead, equaling his grid start. Pole position for him, leading the race currently after a pit stop. Jim Bobster, P2 for him, equaling his grid start as well. As LS Apex will now come into the pits. Followed by Jim Bobster as well. Weepia Bag will also come in. So does Sam Drives. And LS Unku as well. Followed by Harrison M, Riki Racer, Matteo. Riki Racer with a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. F1 SV5 will come in as well. So too will Bly Yapper. POR Ben as well. FV Pixels also coming into the pits now, followed by Sojan Impulse. Every single one of your drivers coming into the pits so far on this lap. It will be a fresh set of mediums for LS Apex. If we have a look now, most of the field on fresh mediums. The only two people that are odd ones out will be Matteo 50 on the hard compound tyre and Saskia Moll on the softs. So we are under our first safety car of the race so far, and hopefully the final safety car of this Grand Prix. No retirements from this race as of yet. Unfortunately, Saskia Moll in P14 and last at the moment. She has been lapped, and she has suffered one of the worst crashes of this race so far, losing her front wing at some point. That's to add insult to injury as well. And to add to that even further, of course, she got a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting and then a 10-second penalty as well for exceeding track limits. The pack will start to bunch up under the safety car now. You can see as the safety car leads them down the main straight. Last couple of cars now coming around the final corner. We're on lap 15 of 28. As it stands, LS Apex will be your driver's champion for Season 4. Just a reminder, all he has to do to win the championship is to outscore Sam Drives, who is currently second in the driver's championship, by 1 point. If LS Apex beats Sam Drives by 1 point, he will be your driver's champion today. And LS Apex, despite the less than ideal setup, of course, as we've already mentioned, he is in a hotel room currently working off of effectively 5G, so not the best setup for him, but he has looked absolutely in control of this race so far. Pole position in the qualifying session, pulling off an absolutely brilliant lap right at the death of qualifying. He is now leading the race after 2 pit stops. Of course, there is still quite a few laps left to go of this race, so nothing is guaranteed. But I think Apex certainly does have the pace to win here today. But we will wait and see what happens. Absolute record number of viewers so far. Currently seeing 13 viewers listed, which is absolutely amazing to see. If you are enjoying the stream, please do drop a follow. We are on the way to affiliate currently. We just need, I think, 27 more followers. And we will be getting there. So if you are enjoying the stream, please do drop us a follow. Of course, go and follow the Formula Velocity social media accounts to stay up to date with everything that is happening with the league. If anyone's active right now, let's get some predictions in chat. There'll be a 5-second penalty there to F1 SV5 for a collision with Matteo. 5-second penalty for the McLaren driver. As I was saying, anybody in chat currently, if you want to drop your prediction for race winner, I would love to hear a couple of predictions from people. We've had words of support for LS Apex so far. I want to see who our viewers are rooting for to win this race. Prediction from Car Dude. I think Apex has this, but I wouldn't count out Sam drives, of course. Apex in prime position so far in the lead. There's a second 5-second penalty now for the McLaren driver. And he has left the session now. Apex in prime position to take the win here, but of course Sam drives in P4. You can never count out Sam drives. He is a very fast driver when he is on form. See some more support there saying, come on Apex. That's what we like to see. You can see safety car into the pits now. It will be LS Apex, your race leader, to control the pace as they come round the hairpin leading towards the final corner. There'll be a 5-second penalty for Sojin Impulse. A second 5-second penalty for him as well. Double 5-second penalties for both the McLaren drivers, but we are away. LS Apex still holds onto the lead, followed closely by Jim Bobster, Harrison M, Weep Your Bag, looking down the inside now. He'll force Jim Bobster into a half spin there, does Weep Your Bag. Sam drives, fighting with Weepier now, looking to try and stay out of most of the trouble. LS Apex clearing off ahead, the gap already 1.3 seconds. Absolute mega dive from Sam, but he will not hold on to it. Just braking far too late there. He will stay in P4. That's Weep Your Bag right off the track. Sam drives up into P3 now. The gap now 1.8 seconds to the lead. Riki Racer will now be looking to hunt down the Williams of Sam drives. What can he do? P4 for him so far. Just having absolutely no grip by the looks, coming onto this straight now. Just the car sliding everywhere, just not being able to get it planted. He will be outside of DRS range of Sam drives now. And just as I switch to his POV, that's a half spin there for Sojin Impulse. That's very unfortunate. He had a reasonable restart there, running in P9. But a half spin there, coming into one of the hardest and most complicated sectors to get right. That's unfortunate for him. Unfortunately, neither of the McLaren drivers having the best race here so far. But it's not over yet. Just 10 laps remain of this race. Sam Drives has got to give it absolutely everything right now if he wants to challenge for this title. If he wants to keep the championship hopes alive into the next race, he has got to really give it everything, and he certainly seems to be so far. Down the main straight, he is sadly just outside of DRS of Jim Bobster. Weepy Bag absolutely sending one down the inside of Ricky Racer in the Alpine. He will get past. That was a nice move there from Weepy Bag. DRS is enabled as Jim Bobster comes across the line to set a 1:35.12. That is your fastest lap of the race so far. Ricky Racer will now look to the inside of Weepy Bag to try and find a way past. Weepy will defend. As there is another yellow flag, it will be FV Pixels as Sojin Impulse retires from this race. Disaster strikes for the McLaren driver. As I said just a few moments ago, the McLaren's really not having the best race out here today, and that is just adding to it. Things go from bad to worse for the McLaren driver, as he will DNF from this race. That is really unfortunate for him. As we have a look here, Jim Bobster has really closed down the gap now to Apex. He's closed it down by almost a second. The gap now sits at just about a second to the lead. 8.5 tenths. 8 tenths now as they come down the straight. No DRS for the Ferrari yet. He was just outside of that 1 second gap at the detection zone. But he is on the back of Apex right now, and he is looking for a way past. As we come round the final corner now, he will hopefully have DRS. LS Apex runs it out wide, but he will. Jim Bobster has DRS on LS Apex. He's not going to be close enough to look for a move into the first corner. But the DRS is going to help him. A little bit of a lock-up coming into the first corner there for Jim Bobster. Making him just miss the Apex there a little bit. And that has lost him just a little bit of time. The gap now sits about 9 tenths of a second to LS Apex. Sam Drives also on the move. The gap about 2 seconds now between him and P2, Jim Bobster. A lot of the field is stacked right up on top of each other after that safety car restart. LS Apex with a little bit of a slide coming out of the chicane now. That's lost him a lot of time. That's lost a lot of his advantage. Jim Bobster now just half a second behind, and he will have DRS, I presume, coming down the main straight. He does. Jim Bobster does have DRS, and he will be past LS Apex into the hairpin, but a lock-up from Jim Bobster. Apex not giving up. Lock-up for Apex as well as he runs it out wide around the final corner. He will have DRS though on the Ferrari, and he is back past. Apex is not messing around. Into the first corner now he goes. Quite a wide swing into the first corner, but he's taking a very defensive line. That doesn't stop Jim Bobster from looking down the inside though. These two may be both drivers for Lightspeed, but that will not stop them fighting here today. If Apex is going to win this championship, he is going to have to give it everything he's got. He will not get away with this easily. He is going to have to fight for all of the remaining laps if he wants to win. The gap has closed down just a little bit now for Sam Drives, about 1.7 seconds now for him. I think unfortunately, unless he gets into the DRS or one of the two in front of him has quite a big accident, I think he might be staying where he is. Bit of a slide coming out of that corner now. Jim Bobster in the Ferrari, of course, DRS on LS Apex, but is he close enough to make a move into the hairpin? No, he is not. What is Jim Bobster going to be able to do as we come down the start-finish straight? Jim Bobster with the much better exit and DRS, he will breeze past LS Apex into the first corner. Looking to take a defensive line. Weep Your Bag and Sam Drives fighting as well now. Looks like Sam Drives might be struggling just a little bit to hold on to P3. Of course, he is out of ERS as things stand. He has got no battery to either defend against Weep Your Bag behind or to attack the cars in front. As things stand, your battle for the lead is still going. LS Apex just 0.5 of a second behind Jim Bobster in the Ferrari. And that's a spin from LS Apex! Disaster strikes for your championship leader. He is round at the chicane. Absolute disaster for the Aston Martin driver. Slips down all the way from P2 down into P5. That is really unfortunate for the Aston Martin driver. He is just getting dive bombed left and right. POR Ben and Matteo now going side by side. Ben cutting the corner, getting a little bit of a shove there from Matteo, it seems. Both cars will have DRS into the first corner, but who is going to back down? It'll be Ben to take the lead into the first corner. That'll be Matteo colliding with him, wheel to wheel. Matteo almost spinning there in his battle with POR Ben. There's another lockup from Apex. You can tell he is very frustrated with that small mistake he made. He is going to be pushing at 110% now to try and get back to where he was, but is it too little too late? Has that spin just unfortunately lost him all the hopes he had of potentially winning the championship here today? LS Apex now looking to attack Riki Racer in the Alpine. No DRS yet. Oh, yet there is DRS for the Aston Martin, correction. There's wheel-to-wheel action. Riki Racer, Weep Your Bag. There's Riki. Riki spins. Riki's in the wall. Riki Racer in the Alpine. Having a fight there with Weep Your Bag for P3, unfortunately. Riki spinning and going into the wall. He just can't get going again. His tyres have overheated too much for him to be able to drive in a straight line. Absolute disaster for the Alpine, who was on for a very nice result here. LS Apex with oversteer as well. That'll be another 5-second penalty to Riki Racer for speeding in the pit lane. LS Apex now on the back of Weep Your Bag in the Red Bull, just under a second's gap, about 7.5 tenths now. What can he do? LS Apex, massive oversteer coming out of that corner, almost sliding the car out of that corner. There's another lock-up for Apex. Oversteer again. You can see he is forcing the limits. He is giving it absolutely everything that he has. Unfortunately, there's a yellow flag in Sector 1. It looks like it's Riki Racer in the Alpine that's gone off the track. LS Apex running it out wide. He will, however, have DRS on the Red Bull into the first corner. He's got the better exit of the two. What's he going to be able to do? He goes round the outside, but Weepier Bag's not giving up. He's giving him just enough space, but he is not going to give it to him. Apex looking to go down the inside, but he will be spun almost. Half spin there for Apex. Fighting with Weepier Bag. He'll be overtaken now by POR Ben. Things go from bad to worse for the Aston Martin driver. So he is now fighting wheel to wheel with POR Ben. They both spin! It's POR Ben into the wall. POR Ben is retired from this session. LS Apex and POR Ben colliding. Massive crash there for the two. That will be POR Ben into the wall with an unfortunate retirement. And of course there will be damage there for Apex, I'm sure. Or maybe not. It looks like Apex may have just avoided getting wing damage, but there is a safety car. Once again, absolute disaster strikes for the Aston Martin driver. Things going from bad to worse for Riki Racer as well, as he will now get a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. Sam Drives and Apex both coming into the pits now. It will be a fresh set of soft compound tyres for Sam Drives, and I'm assuming the same for LS Apex. It will be a fresh set of softs for Riki Racer as well. This has been one crazy race so far. It's gone from Apex looking as though he could take this without too much of a fight. Looks like he was controlling the pace perfectly out front. He had a slight spin when fighting with another car, and unfortunately that just seems to have frustrated him a little bit, and he's just made a couple more mistakes since then. Just a short while ago, massive collision with POR Ben in the Alfa Romeo. That puts POR Ben into the wall, and unfortunately he is retired from this race. The race control saying safety car is in this lap. We will be getting a couple of laps sprint to the end. Jim Bobster currently in the lead, followed by Weepier Bag, Matteo in P3, Blayapa P4, Ellis Unku, the second of the Alfa Romeos and currently the only Alfa Romeo driver remaining in this race. It'll be P6 for your second place contestant in the Drivers' Championship, Sam Drives. FV Pixels, the second of the Aston Martins, in P7. P8 for Harrison M. It's going to be Jim Bobster now to control the pace, as Jim Bobster now accelerates away down the main straight. As there's yellow flags again. What's happened at the back? Looks like LS Unku has spun as well. Sam drives into P3 now, fighting the Red Bull of Weepier Bag for P2. These two coming together again, side by side and wheel to wheel through this section of the track now. Neither one of these drivers letting up at all, giving each other just about enough space. Weepier Bag will choose to back down. He will slip back into third place. Sam drives not giving up at all though. Sam drives fighting this with everything he has. He is fighting for the lead of the race right now. Jim Bobster decided not to pit under the safety car. Sam drives did pit. He will have those much nicer soft compound tyres. These two side by side around the hairpin, bashing wheels again. It will be Sam drives with the fastest lap of 1:33.4. Fastest lap changes hands, 1:33.3 for LS Apex. And Sam drives is past. Sam drives slips past Jim Bobster and he will go into the lead of this race. This opens things up for the championship massively. Final lap of the race now. Sam drives out in front. Your championship leader LS Apex down in P6. He will not be winning the championship this time out. As another yellow flag, it will be Jim Bobster. It's absolute heartbreak for the Ferrari. A solid race for him so far. Looking to take a podium. Quite possibly P2. Unfortunately, he's spun there. That will put him back down into P9. That's absolute disaster for the Ferrari. My heart goes out to him. He's driven faultlessly all race, fighting LS Apex all the way pretty much, staying out of most of the trouble. Unfortunately, just not being able to hold it together in the closing stages. As we come across around the final corner now and across the line, your race winner will be Sam Drives 42 in the Williams. Your championship leader LS Apex will finish in P6. The championship will continue to next round. That was an absolutely mega drive from Sam Drives today. Both him and Apex, along with quite a few other people, deserving to take the win today. Unfortunately, a couple of mistakes from Apex. And Sam will be your race winner. This opens the championship up massively. If anybody is still watching, please show your support for Sam Drives in the chat. I'm seeing messages already. Let's go, Sam. GG, Sam. We will try and get Sam Drives in for a post-race interview in just a moment. That was an absolutely phenomenal drive from the Williams today.